Type 2 diabetes is supposed to be a lifelong sentence, and Big Pharma has spent $4.2 billion making sure that you believe that you believe that it's genetic, that it runs in your family, that it's irreversible, and that medication is the answer. But if you're a Christian man over 40, struggling with fatigue, cravings, and the fear of losing your health, then you know that something's not adding up. And you've probably tried everything. Maybe you've tried a certain diet or exercise regimens. Maybe you've changed up the way that you're eating. And what I want to share with you in this video is what we've been doing. So what if I told you that thousands of men are reversing diabetes naturally, without starving themselves, without counting calories, without spending hours on the treadmill, and definitely without medication, using a Bible-based breakthrough? And the results have even been shocking us. So my name is Benjamin Green, and I've helped 57 men exactly like you to slash their A1C below 6.5%, to shred 25 pounds of visceral body fat, and to get them off of medications for good, for the rest of their life. And this is a bit of a before and after. This is me earlier this year, and this is me when I was pre-diabetic and when I was battling sugar cravings. And we slash their A1C, we get them into remission without counting calories, without cutting out their favorite foods, without pharmaceutical medications like metformin or Jardiance. But first, I just want to share with you my story so that you can get an understanding of what's possible with Holy Health. So this is my story, from broken to blessed. At 8 years old, I saw what diabetes does to a man. A member of my family, his name was Wally, and he used to be strong, but he was now wasting away in the back guest room of my grandparents' house. And I was a bit scared because I wasn't sure, I was 8 years old, I didn't really understand it. I thought he had like cancer, I knew he had some sort of illness, but I didn't really know exactly what it was. And I thought it was contagious. So there was a part of me that was like scared to speak to him, scared to ask, kind of distant and avoidant about it. And I remember this like frightening story because my grandparents were talking about how they amputated his leg. And this was my first time hearing about gangrene, which is like low circulation nerve damage. And in this picture, this is actually my brother. He turned 25 yesterday, and my grandfather, his name's Tom. And Tom has got some problems with his heart. He's not perfect, but he has been, on the bike cycling. He's been tracking his like blood pressure. He's been eating a lot cleaner, and he has been doing a lot better. But it was his dad that was suffering from diabetes. And at 13, I watched my mother prick her fingers every morning. She had my younger sister in around 2016. So I was 13 years old, and I watched my mother prick her fingers every morning. The way she'd wince when the needle went in, the fear in her eyes, when the doctor told her that she had gestational diabetes. But she fought back. And this was the first time that I realized, whoa, diabetes is reversible. Because one of my family members was suffering in bed. He was laying there with a leg missing, suffering from something that is completely avoidable and completely reversible. And this is what blew my mind, because when I saw that my mom started saying, hell no, I'm not doing this. She took the dogs for walks. She ate like chicken salads that were like loaded with olive oil, and she eventually beat it. And that was inspiring to me. And if we fast forward to 16, this is when I started battling and I started facing my own journey. I was addicted to sugar. I was depressed. I was faithless. And I was watching my dad, who was a hard-working man, slowly destroy himself with stress and sweets. And his doctor warned him about heart disease. He warned him about blood pressure, cholesterol, statins. And worst of all is I didn't want to see my dad suffering. I didn't want to see my dad blind or experiencing amputations or experiencing complications, laying in a hospital bed. I didn't want that for my dad, because my dad was one of my heroes, and I started to try many things. I had a friend in my business class, he was a bodybuilder, him and his dad bodybuilded. So I was like, you know what, let me try counting calories, let me try cardio. And soon enough, I became a slave to calories. I had this Apple Watch, and this Apple Watch freaking told me how many calories I burned in a day or when I ran, and I became a slave to that. So I would burn, 500, 600 calories, and then I would binge eat Snickers or chocolate, peanut butter on toast or cereal, whatever it was, because I justified that I'd burnt the calories. And I would run until my knees gave out. I would eat bland oats and boiled chicken just to earn a Snickers bar. I remember I would weigh out, about 2 ounces of oats, pour boiling water, cinnamon, no sugar, and it was so plain. And I thought to myself, how can people live like this? And while doing this, I still had stubborn fat. My body was inflamed, my face broke out, and my spirit was broken. I was a slave to the scale. I bought this German scale that could scan your body fat, and I was a slave to running and the gym and my damn Apple Watch. And I thought that moderation would save me. So this is a picture of me when I was younger, and this is me weighing out meals. I would freeze chicken, plain chicken, couscous and green beans. It was awful and it was watery. And then I would make this beef mince with broccoli. That was at least tolerable. It didn't taste too bad. So that I would also have. And this is kind of when I started to take action. I'm wearing these gardening gloves, and this was kind of during COVID. So I'm in our garage because gyms were closed, and I was busy lifting these rusted iron weights and doing pull-ups and stuff, blasting rock and alternative guitar and stuff in this garage. And that was therapeutic for me, but I still wasn't where I wanted to be. But it was therapeutic. And my dad and brother were doing the same. They also started training. Then the answer came from the most unlikely place. I was in business class and I decided I'm going to stop listening to my friend Ronan, who was talking about, counting calories and spending hours on the treadmill and eating freaking plain oats with cinnamon. Let me try listening to Michael, because Michael's lean, he's sharp, he talks about investing and he reads good books, and him and his mom run long distances. And he was this scrawny kid. And he said 4 words that changed my life. He said, Ben, you should try keto. And this was something that both he and his mom did. And I didn't understand keto. I thought, firstly, what is that? Then secondly, you're telling me to eat fat. I thought fats were bad for your heart and your hormones. And I also thought that a gram of fat is so high in calories, a gram of carbs is super low in calories. That doesn't make sense. So I'm eating more calories now and I'm going to burn fat and I'm going to eat good food that tastes good. That doesn't make sense. So I was like, you know what, let me just give it a try. So I convinced my dad with a few videos. I was watching Dr. Berg, I was watching Dr. Jason Fung, I was watching a few keto influencers and bodybuilders. And I was also listening to a bit of Jordan Peterson, who spoke a lot on carnivore and bad carbs are for you. Jordan Peterson would talk about how carbs can cause dementia, inflammation, obesity, diabetes, even Alzheimer's disease. So after convincing my dad with these videos, this research and long stories, we dove in. And he knew he needed a change as bad as I did. This is me at about 15 or 16 years old, and then also my dad. And what we started to do was a little bit of fasting. We did Saturday mornings, became sacred. We did coconut flour protein waffles with whipped cream and crushed walnuts. Steak bagels. The bagels would be made with almond flour and butter, crispy bacon with eggs, cheese, avocado. And we felt like kings while losing weight. All of a sudden, weight loss became fun and enjoyable. Instead of dreading black coffee, boiled oats, and cinnamon and boiled eggs and plain boring stuff. And what I noticed was that my cravings started to disappear. And when I was eating super diligently and counting calories and all this, I needed to binge. I needed to have a Snickers bar. I needed to have a cheat day. I needed to have a cheat meal. I needed to snack in order to balance out this side of me that I was repressing. But when I started doing keto and I started eating like really tasty, rich, fatty, protein rich foods, I was so full and I was so satisfied that those cravings started to disappear. And because those cravings disappeared, I ate less sugar. And because I ate less sugar, I starved out bad gut bacteria that were causing all of these cravings. And results became easy. So this is an example of like protein flapjacks with blueberries that we would make. And this is a picture of me. And this is kind of like a transformation. I mean, this is what is possible. And we paired this really good food with fasting. And I remember the first time I heard about fasting. Obviously, I heard about Jesus fasting, and obviously I heard about, Dr. Berg talk about fasting. But what really got me over the edge was when I heard that GSP fasted. So GSP is a UFC champion, and he's a Canadian dude, and he's super humble. He used to get bullied as a kid. He became like really into karate, and now he's been a UFC champion times over. He is retired, but he was one of the greatest of all time. And he spoke highly of fasting. And I thought to myself, but don't athletes need carbs? Don't humans need carbs? Don't we need to eat like evenly spaced meals to keep our blood sugar stable? So I was quite shocked when I found out that one of the greatest athletes of all time was practicing fasting for spiritual discipline, for mental clarity, and for keeping fat off of his body. So what we started to do was no food until noon. We would just have a black coffee and some salt, and the hunger, the cravings, it faded even more. The mental clarity came and I felt so focused, and we were training our bodies to run on fat. That is the key point there. So this is, my brother and I when we were younger. As you can see, I was hitting a milkshake, he was hitting tiramisu. Like, we loved sugar. And this is kind of me nowadays. I might have a whole packet of peanuts, some multivitamins, black coffee, and a tasty protein shake that's low in sugar. And everything that I do now is optimized for my metabolism. It's optimized for insulin sensitivity. And that's what I want to give to you as a gift. The gift that I want to give to you is that you can turn your body into a metabolic fortress. You can turn your body into an asset, something that burns fats, builds muscle. It's clear, it's sharp, it's medication free, you're fit, you're strong, you're on your mission, versus feeling like your body is a trap, feeling like your body is against you, feeling like your body is this house of pain, this experiment that you're giving medications to. So after doing the fasting and the eating, the results shocked us. My dad, he dropped 15 pounds in 6 weeks. My acne cleared for the first time in years, and we both had energy like lions. But at 18, I nearly lost it all. So from 16 to 18, we were fairly consistent, but I then went through this bad breakup, and this breakup sent me spiraling. I drank alcohol, I binge ate fast food, I was smoking a lot of weed, I had all these old cravings return. I wasn't training as much because my sleep was poor and I was super stressed. And as you can see, I lost a lot of weight. I was super skinny, but I had like all this stubborn fat on me. But then God grabbed me by the collar. We got back from a family holiday and my dad said, Ben, COVID is over. Let's sign up for the gym. And the same way that I introduced my dad to fasting and keto, he grabbed me and he said, Ben, let's put you under the iron bar. So in a way it came full circle, and that was so beautiful. And this is when I started realizing, I always get emotional at this part, man, because like 18 was when I started to hear the voice of God. I found him in the gym's iron, in the sauna's sweat, in the crisp morning air during sunrise runs. And that's where I met Katie, my now girlfriend. We've been together for 3.5 years now, and she's been a true blessing to my life from above. Together we've hiked mountains, we've run marathons, we've raced on horseback, and we've built a life I couldn't have dreamt of. And it was very different spiritually to my past relationship. And I believe that none of this would have been possible if I hadn't first rebuilt my temple and my spirit. And this is now a picture of my dad and I, at the beach, confident, energized, loving nature, having a cold swim. And this is a photo of my dad, and that's me. I was a super chubby kid, and my brother. As a kid, I was super chubby. I loved eating sweet potato and pieces of meat, and I would just eat and eat. Yeah, I never had any when it came to food. And this is my story. And I now really want to share with you about some of the results that guys are getting and what's possible. So this is the Holy Health Remission Program and the hard truth about diabetes remission. The truth is that you've tried everything. You've probably already tried fasting and keto and exercising, but you've been relying on willpower. Maybe you've tried fad diets. Some people have tried like these juice cleansers that just spike your blood sugar. Maybe you're taking expensive medications or supplements that aren't working. Maybe you're like my stepfather in the UK, Sean. He's a type 1 diabetic, and he has an exercise bike, and he's a business owner. He just doesn't have the time to spend 2 hours on a bike in the gym, and he's actually put on weight, and his gut is bloated from the medication that he's taking. So if those worked, you would already be waking up energized, ready to face the day. You would already be playing with your kids pain-free and thinking about the future. You would already be seeing your HbA1c lower than 6.5, knowing that you're in remission. So what if I gave you the exact blueprint that helped a dad get off of metformin in less than 90 days? Pastor Mike lose 28 pounds of body fat before Easter. Or a 51-year-old Robert reverse his neuropathy. He had this fiery sensation in his feet, tingling nerve pain that was messing with his sleep. And because his sleep was getting interrupted, he was waking up his wife and struggling to get his kids to school in the morning because he was exhausted. So if you want to take your blood sugar from 250 to something stable like 120, that is what's possible with this. This isn't just theory. It's the same system that let me and my dad and my clients feast on steak, burgers, almond flour waffles with Greek yogurt mixed nuts while losing body fat, training 15 minutes a day with kettlebells at home, teaching your kids how to move their body, how to be strong, and to never count a single calorie or carb so that you're not a slave to an Apple Watch, a calorie counter, a heart rate monitor, or the scale. I promise you that within 30 days, you're gonna see your morning glucose numbers drop. You're gonna need to tighten your belt by 2 notches. Like Tom, my grandfather, he's almost 60 years old, and he was telling me last night while we were having a steak dinner at a restaurant that his belt is now 2 notches too wide. And another thing is just reviving the romance in your relationship, the love that I have for Katie, the fact that we're so energetic and so spirited and so capable of just getting out there into the world and being fit and moving with our bodies. It's truly a blessing. And I want your wife coming up to you and asking you, what's different about you? Like, you've changed much. Like, there's this fire in your eyes. And I don't want you, hiding your glucose monitor. I don't want you missing family moments because you're too tired, or skipping family dinners because you're worried it's going to spike your blood sugar, or running off to the bathroom to take medications, or prick your finger, or scan your CGM, your tricep. I don't want you to worry about blindness, amputations, or kidney disease. I've spoken to so many fathers who are battling chronic kidney disease, who are now on many medications, who are fearful of taking action because every time they want to create a new habit, they need to ask their doctor for permission instead of asking God for permission. And the only question left is, are you ready to finally succeed where every other approach has failed? I promise you this will change your life. If you want to wake up scan your CGM and see a stable reading of 101 milligrams per deciliter, and know that you're going to have a stable sugar, a stable energy, stable insulin, and that you've achieved what we call metabolic freedom. If you want that, then keep listening. So here's why this matters for you. Most programs, most health coaches, fat loss coaches that you see on Instagram and on the internet, there are tens of thousands of them. Most of them aren't Christian, and most of them aren't working with diabetics. They don't understand insulin, they don't understand hormones. They're only focused on fat loss and calories. So most programs have been failing you because they ignore spiritual health. Your body is a temple, and it was bought at a price. Most programs fail you because they rely on willpower and discipline instead of beating cravings entirely and satisfying any leftover cravings that you do have with high fiber alternatives to your favorite meals. And because of this, they're not honoring God-given metabolic wisdom. Most programs fail because they complicate eating with endless rules and measuring. They tell you to buy a food scale so that you can count out how many ounces of chicken you're eating, or how many calories you're eating, how many grams of carbs or grams of protein or grams of fat that you're eating. But you're probably not a bodybuilder. You're not looking to step out on the stage and win a medal. You're just looking to get your health back, beat medications, and build a body that you're proud of and have energy to live the life that you want to live. So what if I told you that the same system that freed my family could help you lower your A1C below 6.5 without medications, lose 25 to 30 pounds and keep it off without hunger, and regain energy to lead your family, lead your calling, and show up every single day with only 15 minutes in the morning, 3 times per week? This isn't just about losing weight, it's about gaining your life. This is Ricky, one of my favorite clients to work with. He has been such an incredible guy, and I really just love his approach to being a provider and being a man and being a dad. And this is a picture that he sent me after hitting a kettlebell workout in his home gym. And this is a Chipotle bowl that he had. Yes, it's avocado, it's cheese, it's beef, and yes, you can eat good food and get results. You don't have to eat, 2 ounces of boiled oats and cinnamon with no sugar, no milk, like I used to. And this is him when he first started. He was so exhausted, and now he's feeling confident. And his wife has been so supportive. This is uncured bacon. So he's eating bacon that's got no maltodextrin, no nitrates that harm your kidney and spike your blood sugar. So you can enjoy your favorite foods if we just find simple alternatives that are just better. It's about eating smart. Ricky is 39 and he's a devoted husband. He's a father of 3 and a hard-working real estate agent. He also drives Uber on the side to provide for his family. He's hardworking. This guy works like 50, 60 hours a week easily. And earlier this year, he was 400 pounds. He knew his health was at a tipping point. He had soda cravings. He was addicted to Dr. Pepper. He had low energy, and the fear of type 2 diabetes loomed over him. His A1C was ridiculously high. I think his A1C was at about 8.7, 8.8. His blood sugar was at 250 milligrams per deciliter. He had tried diets before, but they never lasted. He tried fasting, he tried like Dr. Berg stuff, but this time he wanted real change, not just weight loss, but true metabolic healing. And here's the shift. With the determination and faith, Ricky committed to a structured plan. We implemented biblical fasting, where he was doing 16 to 18-hour fasts, and these were not interrupting his long work days. In fact, he was feeling even better and more energized. He wasn't feeling deprived, and he was feeling spiritually aligned. We focused on whole, nourishing foods. We weren't counting calories. We just found a few simple, healthy proteins and healthy fats and built a few meals that his wife could make and a few snacks that he could enjoy while on the road. And we then started doing 15-minute strength training. These are kettlebell workouts at home that he's been doing with his wife, proving that fitness doesn't require hours in the gym. All it requires is a plan, a structure, and a kettlebell. We've also been doing accountability and tracking. We use the Habit Hacker to stay consistent and celebrate progress. Ricky and I have been doing check-ins every week on a Friday, and he's been consistently shredding about 2 pounds of body fat per week and getting incredible results. The heaviest that he was when we started working together was 328 pounds after a weekend getaway for work. And his most recent check-in, which was last week, was 308 pounds. He's got a check-in tomorrow, which will be week 7, and I'm confident that he's going to be at about 305 pounds. And he's still progressing. He wants to be at about 250 pounds before the end of the year, which is entirely possible. And most importantly, to maintain that energy, he's no longer crashing. He's finding it easier to work late nights when he needs to. He's sleeping a lot better, and he has more stamina for his family, for closing deals in real estate, for working late nights in Uber. And his blood sugar, he's not on any medications, he's energy stable, and he's on track for an A1C below 6.5. His next lab results are going to be in August, and our goal is to get his A1C below 6.5 and his blood sugar reading below 120 milligrams per deciliter for his morning glucose. He's feeling lighter on his feet. I've noticed he's also a lot more confident. Like when I took pictures of him, or when he took pictures of himself on day 1 versus where he is now, I've noticed that his shoulders and his neck, like his posture, is just a lot better. And I think that this is because his confidence is improved, but I also think it's because he's now training muscles around his back and shoulders that are really tightening him up and building a stronger, more masculine frame. And I think that another bonus that because he's been doing these like leg workouts and lunges and squats, I think that's also taking a lot of strain off of his knees. He shared with me that he was at a family outdoor concert the other day, and they were watching this comedian, and they were standing for like an hour and a half. There were no chairs, and he was perfectly fine. Normally he would have rushed to like find a chair or somewhere to sit because he wouldn't be able to stand, but he now feels a lot lighter on his feet, and that was such a beautiful like benefit to hear. So who is this for? This is for you if you experience these 4 things. Number 1 is lack of a strong metabolism. You've tried every diet, but none incorporated biblical fasting or honored your body as God's temple. Number 2, a lack of sustainable energy. Your energy crashes after meals, leaving you too exhausted to lead your family spiritually. Number 3 is lack of medication freedom. You're tired of being chained to metformin or insulin and having this constant medication schedule where every morning you look yourself in the mirror after breakfast and you pop a pill, wondering if you'll ever reverse your diabetes and do it naturally. 4, a lack of time-efficient solutions. Most programs demand 2-hour workouts, weighing out meals and counting calories, or spending your entire Sunday evening 6 hours meal prepping for the week. But you're a busy dad. You're not a pro athlete. You're not a professional bodybuilder. You don't need to be doing those crazy hour-long schedules just to get results. We can do it in much less. This is for you if you want an A1C below 6.5 without medications. Proven protocols combining Mediterranean feasting inspired by the New Testament with biblical fasting. Number 2, if you want to shred 25 to 30 pounds of fat loss without calorie counting while eating steak, bacon, almond flour waffles while your body burns fat like a furnace. This is for you if you want 15-minute temple training workouts and a kettlebell routine that spikes testosterone, it packs on muscle, and it stabilizes blood sugar. This is for you if you want unshakable confidence as the man of your home. If you want to wake up energized to lead prayers, play with your kids, and fulfill your God-given purpose. And this is why you failed in the past. If you're a faith-driven man over 40 battling weight gain and rising A1C levels, maybe you're losing muscle and you're facing this frustration cycle of temporary progress and inevitable relapse. I recently spoke to a dad who does these 7-day spurts of discipline and motivation, and then he crashes and loses all of his progress because he lacks structure. You're doing it all wrong. Stop starving yourself with calorie counting. You're stuck in a cycle of restricting yourself and then craving, and then satisfying those cravings with binging, and then feeling guilt, and then repeating the process. And here's why it fails you. Every time that you cheat, your blood sugar spikes, inflammation worsens, and your willpower gets weaker. And when you go to a church event, maybe like my church that serves flapjacks or coffee or tea, donuts, or like that becomes a minefield for you. It becomes distracting and unenjoyable, and your family watches you struggle in silence. And all the online diabetes and fat loss advice has been poisoned with lies. You might hear lies like, just eat everything in moderation. You know, I've heard fat loss coaches say, if you below your weekly calories, then on Sunday you can have a cheat day. You can just go out and binge milkshakes and cereal and, you know, eat nachos loaded with freaking sugar. And this is happening while your pancreas screams for mercy. Or maybe you're hearing things like do more cardio as your joints ache and cortisol rises. Cardio is the worst thing that you can do, especially if you're over 300 pounds, because it's going to hurt your knees and it's going to hurt your joints, and you're not going to be consistent with it. Another thing is taking more meds while your symptoms get worse, not better. Some guys have high blood sugar and they take more medications and the blood sugar drops. But the problem is that they're not looking at their hormones, they're not looking at insulin. But why don't you just do these 3 things? Feast like Abraham, fatty meats, olive oil, avocados, nuts. Fast like Daniel, 16 to 20 hour windows to reset insulin resistant and curb cravings. Train like Samson, 15-minute kettlebell sessions that spike testosterone, they boost your energy, and they get you to burn through that blood sugar in the morning. This is why this is different. We give you a 12-week remission roadmap, weekly discipleship calls every 7 days. We plant and uproot just as scripture demands, adjusting your plan in real time. And most importantly, we don't wait for perfect conditions. Like the farmer who refuses to wait for perfect weather, we start today. With week 1 to 4, we do a metabolic reset. We find your unique fasting rhythm and we get you adapted to burning fat. Week 5 to 8, we focus on strength building kettlebell mastery, where we start implementing 15-minute kettlebell workouts. Week 9 to 12, we start building lifetime habits so that you can keep these results for the rest of your life. We build a unique feast and fasting cycle that is going to get you results for decades to come. Temple training, 15-minute kettlebell flows that honor your temple. No gym required so that you can save time as a busy dad, especially if you need to drop your kids off at school in the morning. You can train beside your Bible at dawn or with your kids before school. You can burn blood sugar, pack on lean muscle, and boost testosterone. The Blood Sugar Tracker Pro. It's a weekly track sheet that shows your unique blood sugar trends so that your doctor can review it. A medication log so that we can taper schedule aligned with lab results. And victory milestones like your first week under 100 milligrams per deciliter while fasting. And the ironclad guarantee that we offer. If you complete all 12 calls and also your tasks, if your A1C isn't below 6.5 and you aren't at least 20 pounds lighter, we work with you for free until you are. We also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee so that if your results, if your first set of labs after 30 days are not significantly lower and we aren't already making adjustments to your medications, we offer you a 100% cashback if you are not happy with the pace that we're going at. So this is the 5-step process to achieve rapid remission without complications in 90 days or less. And this is what we're gonna do. You're going to have 25 to 30 pounds gone off of your body. Your A1C is going to be below 6.5. You're going to be in remission and your body's going to start healing. You're also going to be completely off of medication that are suffering your pancreas, your insulin, and your hormones. We know that long-term metformin use can damage your testosterone. This is our 5-step Holy Health Map. We're going to set covenant goals using the Exodus Identity Worksheet. We're going to eat like Genesis, using Grocery GPS to build unique meals that you enjoy and that are easy to make. We're going to recruit your doctor and bring him on board using the Reset Request worksheet. We're going to track your godly gains and the gifts along the way using the Habit Hacker and the Temple Training workouts. And then we're going to lock in your legacy, meaning that you get to keep these results indefinitely so that you don't relapse, you don't go back, and you have a routine that you can stick to for decades. With the weekly iron calls that we do and the Blood Sugar Tracker Pro, which we log together. So these are the next steps. So if you want to shred 25 to 30 pounds, slash your A1C below 6.5, ditch meds for good without counting a single calorie, without endless soul-crushing cardio, and without white-knuckling willpower and cravings, then all you need to do is book a free 10-minute health map call. I only accept 5 men to work with every single month. This is our capacity for this premium service because I want to not let any man behind. I want to give you the attention, the time, and the effort that it takes to get these results and to keep them for life. So don't miss your exodus. You were bought with a price. Honor God with your body. So below this video, you can book a free 10-minute health map call because I am on the mission of helping 10,000 diabetic men beat diabetes to glorify God. Thank you so much for making me a part of your day. I really hope that you go into 5th gear here and that you take action, because we know just how brutal of a disease diabetes is, how much it can cost your family in college tuition, in medical costs, in housing costs, in holiday costs. It is this giant that steals your health, your future, and your finances from you and your family. So if you are finally ready to step into purpose and to take action and you want help getting there, guaranteed, book a call. We'll be in the talks. And I just want to finish off by saying, God bless your health journey. Whether we work together or not, I'm praying for you, because this is a disease that affects hundreds of millions of lives, and it's affected lives of my family and close friends. And I don't want you to experience the suffering that they have. My name is Ben. It's been awesome talking to you today, and God bless you, brother. Take care.